Well, President Trump taking to Twitter to slam Hillary Clinton's top aide, Huma Abedin, for forwarding sensitive information to her Yahoo account. The Daily Caller reporter who broke the story, Luke Rosiak, explaining to Fox and Friends First the severity of the problem.
When she first came on board on this new job, they sent her passwords, all the government systems. The first thing she does is turn around and email it to her Yahoo account. In 2012, it's well known that Yahoo has these issues. It's all over the news on a particular date that it's been hacked. 5 days later, she's sending classified information about Syria to Yahoo.
So, should the DOJ step in and investigate? Here now to weigh in is Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. Tom, thank you very much for joining us. And we should say, if it wasn't for Judicial Watch, actually, none of this would be happening. So you're actually responsible for this story breaking and people knowing about it.
Yeah, well, it required a lot of litigation by our attorneys and such, and it's been 2 years just trying to get the records that were released last week by the State Department. Remember, the FBI found these records last year, and they're only releasing them now.
And so there's classified information in these emails, which is against the law.
That's right. You're not allowed to take classified information out of government systems or out of unsecure systems, and this is what happened with the Clinton email system that was set up. Abedin testified last year to Judicial Watch. It was Hillary Clinton's idea to set the system up. Abedin was the only other State Department official, as far as we know, who had an email account on the system, and she was sending material, both she and Hillary Clinton, that was classified, and receiving that material as well. And it turns out you had classified material also on Abedin's husband's laptop at the time, the infamous Anthony Weiner. This just cries out for a criminal investigation. The fact that Comey and the rest of the FBI there, presumably Peter Strzok was there, the anti-Trumper FBI special counter-intel person, they just let this go by without any prosecution or any serious investigation.
Take me back to that moment, back during the election when they announced that they did find additional emails on Anthony Weiner's laptop, but then they let it go.
They did, and presumably these 4 or 5 documents that were uncovered on Friday were known to the FBI at the time, but they let it go. Remember, there was other classified material they already knew about, so it was just outrage on top of outrage in terms of the failure of the FBI and Justice Department to follow up on this. And the problem is, Heather, you had the Clinton Lynch Tarmac meeting. You had Andrew Weissman, the number 2 at the FBI, who was conflicted out because of his wife's campaign's funding by a Clinton crony, Terry McAuliffe. And then, of course, you had Comey's machinations. Who knows what he was thinking at the time. But no one can trust that investigation last year. And to me, most Americans hear that there was classified information on the laptop of Anthony Weiner. They're probably thinking, why wasn't there a criminal investigation or any prosecution?
Because that's happened to other people. And we just had a segment on our Todd Pyro was talking about the sailor who was jailed because he took this picture inside of a submarine.
You know, and Mrs. Clinton specifically was warned repeatedly about the use of unsecure systems to conduct government business, and she did it anyway. So forget about this intent or such. She had the intent. She knew what she was doing, and of course none of this would have happened but for having Mrs. Clinton's unsecure system set up in her bathroom or wherever it was. And if I were the Justice Department under President Trump, I would do what the American people elected them to do, which is to reevaluate what went on with respect to the Clinton criminal investigation and reinitiate it to make sure it's been done honestly and fairly, and the American people could be reassured that it hadn't been infected by politics.
So, Tom, my question is, why is that not just a given that that would be happening? Why is there even a question that it wouldn't be happening and that the president has to send out this tweet suggesting that it needs to?
Well, it's a real rule of law crisis over at the Justice Department that they are defending and protecting Hillary Clinton. And Heather, unfortunately, it's no surprise to us. We're litigating in court now against the Justice Department, the State Department, the FBI, the Office of Director of National Intelligence over whether they'll even do a damage assessment as to whether there was national security damage by Hillary Clinton's mishandling of classified information. This Justice Department is defending Hillary Clinton, saying, well, it wasn't that serious, warranting a damage assessment. I think after learning about what was on Anthony Weiner's laptop, I think the president should demand a damage assessment and tell his appointees to stop with the fear-based decision-making, because I think they're all afraid of Hillary Clinton or taking on the Clinton machine, and enforce the rule of law here.
And not just the classified emails, also showing pay for play as well.
Well, you know, that's the big question. What happened to that investigation? Allegedly, it was going on last year. Was it ever closed? It ought to be reinvigorated or reopened if necessary, because remember, it was the Abedin emails that showed the pay for play, because she was the go-between between the Clinton Foundation and the State Department in terms of the favor game for Clinton Foundation donors who needed favors from the State Department.
Well, Tom, you're always ahead of what's going to happen next, so we look forward to hearing from you more, because something else I'm sure is coming down the pike. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
More drama for Hillary Clinton aide Huma Abedin. The State Department releasing a new batch of emails from a laptop shared by Abedin and her estranged husband, Anthony Weiner.
And now we're learning that at least 4 documents in those emails on the shared laptop were marked classified. Tom Fitton is the president of Judicial Watch, which sued the State Department in order to obtain these emails, and he joins us now. Good morning, Tom.
Tom, good morning.
Good morning.
So, Tom, what was the holdup in getting these emails, and based on what you've seen, did the Justice Department have enough to criminally prosecute Huma Abedin before the election?
Oh, sure. Well, these emails were found back in October of 2016, and it's now nearly the end of the year, and we're finally getting them. And the FBI sat on them for months, and then the State Department sat on them for another half a year or so. But they're a remarkable demonstration of why we have laws against the mishandling of classified information. You don't put material on unsecure systems, and if Anthony Weiner's laptop doesn't meet the definition of an unsecure system, I don't know what would. And for James Comey to suggest that Ms. Abedin didn't know what she was doing is bunk, and plus that's no defense. She had an obligation to protect classified material, and of course one of the reasons this classified material was on Anthony Weiner's laptop was because Abedin had an email account on which she was communicating with Hillary Clinton from her secret server. So this secret server that Hillary Clinton set up is the reason there's classified information that was put on Anthony Weiner's laptop, and anyone else would have been prosecuted. And this is why the Justice Department needs to get its act together and reevaluate what James Comey did and Loretta Lynch did in terms of giving Hillary Clinton a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Sure. So, Tom, was this reckless? Or was this negligence? Did they understand what they were doing and did it anyway?
It was intentional and negligent in the least. It was intentional in the sense that both Abedin and Hillary Clinton were warned repeatedly about the security implications of using non-secure devices to do government business. Hillary Clinton herself talked about, well, you know, the security hawks told me X and I did Y anyway. They were warned repeatedly on this, and yet they put this material out there for potentially the whole world to see. And James Comey had zero interest in upholding the rule of law there, and this is why people are upset, because they know what the rules are. You know, guys, there are, I think, 4.5 million people with with security clearances that allow them access to classified information such as this. They all know what the rules are, and I guarantee you most of them are upset that Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin got away with these outrageous violations of the law. And again, we've got to have the Justice Department reevaluate what went on last year, especially given all the pro-Clinton, anti-Trump bias that we've uncovered on the part of Comey, his top counter-intel guy at the FBI, who was sending, shortly before Comey made this decision not to prosecute Hillary again in October, pro-Hillary Clinton and anti-Trump texts.
Sure. And just so that our viewers have an idea of what some of the stuff that was just disclosed is from Huma's emails, one of them is a call sheet for Hillary Clinton when she was going to have a discussion with a Saudi official, where Clinton was instructed to say, "I deeply regret the likely upcoming WikiLeaks disclosure." Another one says, "I seek your help in preventing WikiLeaks from undermining our mutual national interests." Tom, right after the State Department did a Friday news dump yesterday with these emails, the website went down. Is your understanding, I got an email from somebody that you work with when the files were inaccessible that said you didn't know if the server was overwhelmed or if the State Department changed their mind about releasing these things. Do you guys have any more information yet about this outage?
Well, we were told by the Justice Department, who represents the State Department, that the State Department was just overwhelmed, that they didn't expect, obviously, the public interest, and they weren't able to keep up with it, and so they had trouble getting access to the public for the records. But this is what happens when you decide to put this information out there the way the State Department did. Typically, they would have just given us the records outright. We would have put them up on the internet. But they're out there now. People should look at them, and the Justice Department should explain what it is they're going to do about these evident violations of the law.
Well, they certainly look like that. Tom Fitton, thanks for your work at Judicial Watch, and come back to us with more as you scan through all of those emails. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.